Consider him who, for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, and is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him. What does it mean to consider? To ponder, to weigh, meditate upon, to keep diligently and studiously before you. Because to consider something isn't like having a picture hanging in your living room. Because I have pictures in my living room. I don't study them, right? They add to the aesthetic of the room. And though I have looked at them, I don't stand there examining them. But if I went to an art museum for a particular painting that I was interested in, I would go and I would stand in front of it and I would what? Consider it. I would study it. I'd look closely. It's what we are to do with Christ. You are to consider him. Weigh what he has done, what he has said, who he is. Study, meditate upon him, but not just him as a general concept. This verse encourages us to study him in a specific aspect. Now, you should study him in all of his aspects, but for the purpose of what we're talking about in this context, it is studying him in this aspect. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself. We are to consider him in the way that he willingly and voluntarily endured the hostility of sinners. Now, we've been talking a lot about how faith is future-oriented. But this is encouraging us to look back to something which happened in the past. Now, that's why we ended with that statement about history, last week, where we said the proper use, because this is the proper use of history in this statement. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. So the proper use of history is to look back at what has happened. Consider him who endured, so that you may understand what is happening, so that you may not grow weary. So you are to consider what he has done, so that you may understand what is currently happening to you, and you are able to make the right decision in preparation for what will happen. What will happen? What will happen is that for those who endure to the end, they are given a crown of glory, crown of life, crown of righteousness. Look back at what has happened so you may understand what is happening, and you may make the right decision in preparation for what will happen. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. Now, the implication here is that we are to emulate the behavior of Christ. Because remember what the previous verse said, looking to Jesus. Why would you look to Jesus? For an example, for a guide, for a lead. What am I to do here? Look to Jesus. And we're not looking to him and not considering him so for him to come and take care of it for me. I am looking to Jesus, considering Jesus, that I might know what I should do. There's a lot of teaching about what Christ, about asking God to do things for us. And that's good. He is a giver of good and perfect gifts. But there are many things in our lives which require us to do them. He will not accomplish every difficulty for you if it's something you are meant to overcome. And so the previous verse says, look to him, with the implication that we may then run the race. We may run the race that is set before us. Consider him who endured the hostility from sinners, in order that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. Why would you grow weary or faint-hearted? Because something is pressing on you. Something is difficult. It's keeping with that idea of running the race. There's at some point when you're running a race that you get weary, that you want to pass out because you're so tired. And what do you need? You need a second wind. And for us, that second wind comes when we consider him. Look to him. What does Isaiah say? Those who wait upon shall what? Renew your strength and mount up with wings as eagles. They would walk and not faint. They would run and not grow weary. Consider him, that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. Wait on the Lord. That's another phrase people misunderstand. You know, because there's a term of waiting on the Lord in that you sit and wait. But I don't think that's what's being meant here. I've always understood to wait upon the Lord in the way that someone waits upon a table. A waiter, to serve. I wait on you in that I listen for what you require and I fulfill it. I obey it. You ever heard the phrase waiting on them hand and foot? That. Those who do that restore their strength, will mount up with wings as eagles. It's not do nothing and watch me do it. Why would you need your strength renewed if someone else is doing it? I need my strength renewed for me to do it. If I'm going to do it, I need my strength renewed. If you're doing it, I don't need strength. I need to sit and watch. Now, there are many times when God says, sit and watch, right? There are certain things which he says, you stay, have faith, and watch me handle this for you. That's what he did with the Israelites in Egypt. That's what he did with Elijah when the city was surrounded, right? There are times when God says, stop, have faith, and wait. Don't do anything. But I think there are many more times when he says, if you would obey, if you would serve me, if you would wait on me, doing what I command, what I require, then you will have the strength sufficient for the task. I don't need my strength renewed to watch him do it. I need my strength renewed if it's a race that I still have to run. I need the strength to run, not to watch him run. Another way of saying it is seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added unto you. Why are those things added unto you? So that you would have things to go do things. Jesus said the greatest of you must be the servant of all, right? The whole idea of serving in the Bible is not that to serve is a position of lowliness. It is, but in that lowliness, you prove the greatness. The greatest of you must be the servant of all. As you serve others and as you serve God in humility, lowering yourself, then he can exalt you. The Bible says he exalts the humble and humbles the proud. Well, when are we proud? When are we showing ourselves prideful? When we do what we want instead of what he tells us to. When we pursue our will above his will. That's when we prove ourselves to be prideful. And if we are prideful, he humbles the proud. He resists the proud. But if you would wait on him, if you would consider him, If you would submit to him, well, then he exalts the humble, who will mount up with wings. That's pretty exalted. If you would submit yourself, then you will renew your strength. And believe me, you need the strength. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself.